Good morning. Are you awake? Always a tough one, huh? To stand here looking into small eyes. We have a fantastic half an hour in front of us, and I have goosebumps already because one of my teen idols in music will be on stage here. This is the first MMA session of this morning. We have a second one right after this. We are proud to be here at DMEXCO. We are strong partners since years. And I would like to, without a further ado, because we really have a sexy, funky, cool program now, without further ado, Lars, come on stage, please. Lars, Bendix, Düysen, he is VP Music Entertainment and Music
Hello, everybody.
Partnerships at Sony Music Entertainment. What a long title, Lars.
Good morning, Mark.
Okay, great to have you here. Have a seat, have a seat. And of course, now the godfather of electronic music. Welcome, cheer, whatever you do. We already took pictures. Jean-Michel, Jarre, where are you, my friend? Come on stage. Good morning. Hey. Have a seat. Welcome in Cologne. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
Goosebumps, as I said.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
So, guys, half an hour. We want to cover like the current state of music, entertainment, and mobile. Well, we probably more talk about Metaverse in looking into the future. Before we do that, before we go into, well, I don't have to say what you're doing, but Lars, what do you do and how does it interplay with Jean-Michel? So what does a VP music partnership does for Sony Entertainment?
Yeah, so my department, Sony Music Partnerships, GSA, takes care of our artists and that the share of voice of our artists cuts through the noise of entertainment and advertising. And we do that by finding the right partners for our artists. We understand the creative vision of our artists. This is why we're spending a lot of time with our artists, understanding what they want to do and where they want to go. And then accordingly, we speak to big brands and match marketing and promotion plans.
Okay, cool. And one of those heroes, yeah, is Jean-Michel, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Jean-Michel, as I told you, I grew up with your music, which is really kind of influential in terms of my music taste. But what probably people don't know here, or what is not so obvious, is that you are deep into music and data, music and AI, music and the whole kind of new sound. Yeah, you probably, we talk about this later. So you are not just looking into culture, but you're really looking into tech, and you are even saying culture and tech there's a strong force in between. So can you elaborate a little bit on that one?
Yes, thank you for asking, because I think that, you know, in Europe, we had a tendency the past few decades to separate culture and tech. And actually, as you just said, in a very true way, they are absolutely interdependent. I mean, as I say, I mean, it's because we invented the violin that Vivaldi did the music he did, or because we invented the synthesizers that guys like me or others are doing the music we are doing. So more than ever, and this whole is actually is proving it even more, tech and culture are absolutely interdependent. And as an artist, I feel very privileged to have been to witness 3 moments of disruptions. The first one, when I started with electronic music, the emergence of analog gear and synthesizers. The second one, the emergence of the digital era with computers. And the third one, probably the most important these days after the COVID, where all the world suddenly became more familiar with digital communication. This new era of immersive worlds we're in, with the, I would say, the rise of Web 3.0 and the development of Metaverse and immersive worlds.
Really interesting that you say this, because obviously internet itself, well, when you started like in the mid-70s or even earlier, but first like famous album in mid-70s, internet just came up, and we also talk about the third generation of the internet now, yeah? So we have internet 1.0, 2.0, social media, or the Facebook, TikTok, Snap conquered the world. and now we are facing Web 3. But before we go into Web 3, in your daily work for Sony Entertainment, how important is mobile and all those platforms for distributing work, or I don't know, Spotify, you know, all that, YouTube? Yeah?
Extremely important, you know.
Closer, like a rock star.
Closer, like a rock star. Okay, the microphone. It's extremely important.
The ice cream, it's like an ice cream. You know?
It's not as delicious, maybe. We don't differentiate between mobile and desktop anymore because mobile is a given, as we all know, especially young people, young target groups use the mobile phone all the time. It's actually the major point of access to the internet and also the Metaverse in the near future. And of course, like Jean-Michel said, it's not possible to separate culture, content, and technology anymore. So what we do when we create a partnership from Sony Music, we always use all the data assets, for example, and we use all the experience that we have as a company, because don't forget, Sony is the company who invented the Walkman, the CD player and the PlayStation, and of course we have a lot of knowledge on data and technology and innovation, and naturally we use that when we create partnerships.
Okay, so let's look a little bit into those models currently before we go into Web 3. But currently the world is kind of conquered, whatever, by walled garden. All those platforms who kind of take some stake in distribution models and so on. I think you have a say there, yeah? So you watch this kind of development since years now. You may profit from it because, of course, distribution-wise, Apple has a massive power, Google has a massive power also for artists. But on the other side, there's always this stake. Yeah? So what's your opinion on that one?
Yes, I think it's a very good question because on one side we have we love tech, and on the other side we have to be careful to think about what does it mean intellectual property these days, for instance. And also, in the same time, we had a tendency to separate culture and tech. I would say that we have also the tendency the past few decades in Europe to separate production and distribution. And of course, you know, production is not an issue for European people because we have the brains, we have the talents, but the big issue is the distribution, and to be part of the sovereignty in terms of soft power depends on distribution. And we have urgently, and it's going to be even more for Web 3.0 or immersive worlds, to participate as European people to the sovereignty. What was not the case in terms of distribution, what was not exactly the case so far. All the companies you just mentioned, both of you, Spotify, Apple, Google, they're all American. We love American people. They are partners, but we also must think about how to control our content.
Spotify is European.
Spotify, yes. So Spotify is Swedish, but I would say that now it became mainly controlled by
True.
the other side of the pond, I would say.
So, but obviously you don't have to care, but young artists do have to care, right? If you grow up now in the music industry, and you are nothing if you're not really on Spotify or on TikTok or whatever. So, what is your advice for young artists in doing music now?
I think my advice would be to explore all these new opportunities that the after COVID is offering to us. The fact that actually all these new possibilities with Web 3.0, with the development of artificial intelligence, of virtual reality, is offering to them. And this is a good opportunity for us in Europe to create our own ecosystem, in my opinion. You know, I would like to share something this morning with you all, because, you know, 30, 40 years ago, German people and French people, they said, okay, why not to create a new ecosystem in aeronautics? And we created Airbus. Everybody was laughing at us, saying, you can't be a leader, you can't even think about having any kind of sovereignty in this field. And 30 years later, 40 years later, we are the leader in the world. And nobody is even mentioning it. It's natural. Even American, US companies are using our products. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible for Web 3.0. And I think this is what we have to do. We must think about a European cloud, a European ecosystem for Web 3.0, because this is going to be a game changer for, of course, for culture and beyond.
Okay, let's dive into this, because you now mentioned 20 times Web3, which is really kind of hot topic for you, yeah? Which is important, certainly. So, but before we go into that, you also experiment with sound, and sound certainly plays a major role if we go virtual, right? So can you describe a little bit the difference between, let's say, video impact and sound impact? You told me when we spoke, and it was mind-blowing for me. I never thought about this, but this 360 and so on.
Yeah, you know, when we are talking about immersion and immersive worlds, everybody is talking about the visual, and very few people are thinking about sounds. And you know, the visual field for a human being is 140 degrees. The audio field is 360 degrees. So I would say that the immersion feeling for a human being is, first of all, the hearing before the sight and the visual. And as a musician, I've always been very interested by the relationship between music and space, like lots of musicians. And till now, we had a kind of frontal relationship with music. When you compose for a symphonic orchestra, you visualize the orchestra in front of you. For modern music, you have speakers in studio in front of you. When you are an audience in festival, concert hall, you have PA systems in front of you. And actually, when stereo doesn't exist in nature, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you in mono. And in a day-to-day life, like here, you are listening to us, but at the same time, you are listening to all these noises all around you, everywhere. So, ironically, technology today is allowing us, with companies such as Dolby Atmos or 360 from Sony, to go back to a natural way of listening to music or listening to sounds. And what's great for musicians is actually it's opening doors on virgin territories. Suddenly, and this is the case with this new project, Oxymore, that I conceived, is actually I can, as a musician, say, okay, I can think about a sound, putting it here, and then moving it from there. And that is a total game changer in terms of music composition. And this is the reason why that for young artists, again, I think it's going to be a total revolution. And of course, especially for the development of technology for communication, for binaural, for headphones, for VR, for virtual reality, for the fact that we are going to live with our digital twins in the future, and we will have this kind of relationship with sounds which are going to change entirely. With cars also, the new cars having the sound in surround in your electric cars.
You have a partnership. Can you disclose it?
Yes, I mean I signed a partnership with Renault, the French car company, with. The Director General, Luca De Meo, is very obsessed by sounds, and to try to think about and to define about what is going to be the relationship with what I would say the edutainment, our relationship with music and graphics and movies and entertainment in the future. In cars, in electric cars. Electric cars, the great thing for musicians, the good news, it's totally quiet. So it's like starting from a blank or white canvas. And the second thing, the second point is the time of charging. Is it 20 minutes, 30 minutes? It's a kind of blank space in our day-to-day life. If you are adding all cars, electric cars in the world, it means that we have millions of hours for creators to share our work with the audience. So it's an entire new world that actually is totally totally in sync and in phase with this kind of hall and this kind of event in the DMEXCO, because it's actually going to be the next big also actually territory for business, for creativity, and also in terms of energy. I think it's also something what is something important to touch. The fact that I think we can survive in the 21st century if we are able to establish a good relationship and harmony between ecology and technology. And that also, via Web 3.0, we have answers for that.
Okay. Do you, we visited you with our MMA board meeting in Berlin. Do you need to gear up your equipment to kind of interplay with such fantastic artists? They now looking into binaural sound and I don't know. So do you kind of have to counter this and say, hey, we are equipped, we are here, we understand the technology?
Of course, like Jean-Michel just mentioned, of course, 360-degree audio is a very important field for us as a company. Has been over the years, of course, and high definition audio as well. But if you're referring to the technology the speaker systems that we have installed in our conference rooms, for example, of course, naturally we do, and we do have that in our recording studio called the Circle Studios in Berlin. Of course, we have that technology, and we're of course gearing up, our equipment as well. It's actually really interesting to understand, how long it will actually take for the user to adapt, because I mean, we're in the industry people, we are always very close to technology, very close to development, and I think we may not forget the people who want to use it at the end of the day. I found it quite interesting what you invented with 360 degrees underneath the headphones, so to speak. I still remember when I was visiting you in your studio in France, you showed that to me. You said, Lars, I'm going to show you the difference of the stereo mix and the 360 degree mix, and I thought, oh, it's Jean-Michel Jarre, Jean-Michel, I really like that guy. I at least have to pretend, that I get the sound. And then you put it on, and I was like, whoa, somebody else is entering the room, And I was looking at Jean-Michel, and he was just, like smiling. So now you feel it, buddy.
So, which is that exactly the technology sound-wise for the Metaverse, right? Because you need this 360 thing.
Yes, for the Metaverse, but beyond. I think that I think I'm absolutely convinced that in the next 10 years, we'll consider stereo compared to 360 and multi-channel and binaural. That today we are considering the gramophone and in mono of our grandparents, and it's a really a moment of disruption. And beyond the Metaverse, I think it's a game changer for musicians, for filmmakers, for graphic artists, for sound engineers, for producers. It's an all hope also to create new jobs and new businesses. So it's a real game changer. And for an artist like me, it's a game changer because until now, for musicians, you have to understand that when you deal with stereo, it's like a painter putting colors. You have to add some layers, and then in painting, as everybody knows, if you put too many layers, everything becomes gray. And it's the same for music, for orchestration. Suddenly, if you are in 360 degrees, every sound element has its own space. So it's a total new free zone and free space. And it's great and exciting to explore this space.
And you always have been first mover in tech, as I told earlier. So you did a concert from virtual Notre Dame, right? And you created your own avatar, of course. You need to be a virtual hero as well. And now you're conquering even the VR space with your new VR universe, Oxyville, right? Can you explain this before we show we still have like 8 minutes, so we still can touch Metaverse, yeah? But
so very briefly, and on parallel with this new project Oxymore, which is, as you understand, the first album being conceived and written from zero in multi-channel and binaural, and then the stereo version, the standard stereo version, is an extension of what I'm explaining. And then on the side, I think it could be quite nice to have the VR correspondence of this project. And then I had the idea to conceive a music city, a music town called Oxyville, as you said. And it's actually in which I'm going to play live. My first concert will be in the real world, like on stage, like here.
Your avatar.
At the same time, I will be
Okay.
At the same time, I will be in Oxyville and live. And this city is, as I said, between Metropolis and Sin City a little bit in terms of look. And in the future, I really would like this city becoming a kind of sandbox for musicians, where young artists can play, I can leave the keys of the city to some other colleagues, and they can.
So what do I need to enter? A VR?
Actually, you can, if you want to be inside, almost physically with your avatar, your digital twins, you just need a headset, VR headset. Otherwise, for instance, the first concert that I'm going to perform, you can follow the concert on your smartphone or on your laptop in 2D, of course.
And you said you make this open, so there is no login. Do I need to create an account, or how do I join as Mark Wächter in Oxyville?
You just have to go to my website or Sony website, okay. Because also I'm really lucky to work with a company understanding all these issues, and Sony is quite advanced in all immersive, as Lars was saying, with 360 Sony 360. And I would just actually to remind everybody that Sony 360 is it's like a PAL and NTSC in the old days. I mean, it's coming from a German system called Fraunhofer, the direct competitor to Dolby Atmos. And so that's also an old European way of thinking to try to also bring some alternatives with Dolby Atmos, which is great for an artist, because with the same file, you can listen the same file in stereo on your hi-fi system, in binaural with the standard headphones, which is the case for my new album, or in 5.1 or 7.1 if you have a home cinema or in a live performances. So it's a real game changer.
And is he one of the first guys going into that space, or in your client member base, whatever you call it?
Artists.
Artists.
We call them artists. In depth. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, we have performances of artists in the metaverse. You know, like, I mean, everyone has heard about Travis Scott, for example, performing on Fortnite, or we have artists like Zara Larsson performing on Roblox. But I doubt that there's a level of knowledge that Jean-Michel has. And I can just really recommend also, if there are partners in the audience, for example, or watching this live stream, who are interested in understanding the concept of binaural 360-degree music for the metaverse, you know, I mean, get in touch with us and speak to us, because we're absolutely open to discuss with partners who are interested. And we have that knowledge base here. We have somebody here who understands creativity to the depth and technology, and yeah, we're always very motivated for exchange and and discussion.
Yes, Lars raised just a very interesting point. I think it's quite relevant to just touch with one word in this 2022 edition of the DMEXCO, is the relationship with artists and brands. I think that, you know, these days we have lots of possibilities to be far more than just an ambassador of the brand, and having basically tattooed on the forehead the name of the brand we have a partnership with. I think it can go more beyond, much beyond that. I would say that, you know, what we are sharing this morning with you all guys is the fact that the creativity can be and has to be also an important part, essential part of any kind of partnership. I was talking about the partnership I'm doing with Renault. It's a very good example of how to think about the sound of the future in cars. But it's true also for lots of other brands and lots of other potential partners. And it's something that I think for also young artists is a great opportunity.
Are you also looking into this whole topic of NFTs and creating your own kind of properties on blockchain?
Yeah, thank you for asking, because at the moment, lots of people are mixing everything. Metaverse, Web 3.0, NFT, cryptocurrencies, and they are quite separate worlds, even if you have some bridges between these worlds. And of course, NFT is also another opportunity for creators. The fact that you can go directly to the consumers, it's a kind of B2C, but at the same time, it's still very fragile. This ecosystem is still full of gray areas. So I think it's very interesting for all of us to think about it, to create links, but also to keep also in mind the fact that after all, we are analog animals made of flesh and blood. And we always have to try to find this kind of balance situation between the real world and the virtual one.
And good French cheese and good French red wine, right?
Exactly, but we can drink some red wine in the metaverse. It has not the same taste yet.
Not like this ice cream here.
Exactly.
So quick look into the future. So you certainly will make music for the next 20 years. What's on your plan? What is, you're rolling out the metaverse already. Some people in the audience still don't get it. So you are always ahead. Are you seeing something which we don't see yet, which you're working on already?
Yes, I mean, if I tell you the truth, my real plan is to give the relay to my avatar, and he can do music forever without me.
Okay, wow, what almost already, yeah, exactly, you can clap, yeah. Absolutely awesome idea. Guys, we still have 1 minute, but I think we just cut it here. We covered everything. Jean-Michel, the album goes out when exactly?
21st of October, and I'm doing some first concert in Paris, in the stock exchange, old stock exchange building. So nothing to do with cryptocurrencies. and it's the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and it will be also live in the metaverse through this city of Oxyville.
And this guy builds bridges. He played in front of 3.5 million in Moscow. Yeah, so.
Yeah, talking about numbers, and it's not something that I want to. Of course, I'm proud of it, but I'm thinking about these startups working with me. For this concert, you mentioned in the virtual Notre Dame for the New Year's Eve last year, we got 75 million people. So we actually have the record of the biggest audience in the metaverse. And why I'm saying this, we did that in Europe. We did that with very limited funds. It was produced by the city of Paris, and it shows that we have the potential with young startups here in Germany, in France, in Europe, to be absolutely competitive with China and with the US.
Awesome, huh? He's a real rock star. Thanks for being here this morning. This was a tough one, but we had crowd in the end, yeah?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.